You keep it all the way real. Double jeopardy, double standard. And it personally, from personal perspective, I noticed some of the main ones that you go to bat for, that you soldier for, whatever, you stand for their rights and protection and all that. You know, not only when the cameras are on and everyone's listening, but just in day-to-day life, from your soul, from your heart. Those are the ones that give you the most problems, you know. And we are just not for that. Speaking on behalf of all those males out there, right? And heterosexuals, male or female, who just stand on principle. When you're dealing with sex first of all is not a plaything. It's not anything to play with. When you're talking about a sexual liaison or relationship or something, that's nothing to play with, and that's a known fact all around the board, whether it be a homo or hetero. You notice that many people, they don't have it psychologically. They can't even deal with a relationship. They break down. They want to harm the sexual partner because things don't go their way. You got too many people who want to put responsibilities on the next person simply because they are having sex. Males are guilty of it. Females are guilty of it, whether they're heterosexual or homosexual. They try to use a sexual relationship as a tool to attach their problems to the next person's work ethic or output. In other words, I get a free ride on you because we in the bed together. Now, then you have the mental, psychological, the games that are played as far as we live in contract, we exist in contracts. When you're in a relationship, there are many promises that are made. You may go be saving for an automobile. You may be saving towards a better place to stay. And, you know, many times you allow people, if you allow people to talk you into these little relationships and situationships, and it also goes for those who might come in on the face of it as a sponsor. It's like all in their conversation. You know, I'm here to support, I'm here to help, you know, friends with benefits or sometimes no strings attached. But as it moves forward, you start seeing the strings begin to attach, and the benefits a lot of time are slowed up, you know, and they come in with some type of game, some type of story. And if you are naive enough, gullible, unseasoned, you may find yourself in these type of situations, being strung along. You know, I know personally, growing up, I saw on the news, most of my experience was on the news, where they would call it a crime of passion. People like Selena, the singer, who had that lesbian relationship, and the lesbian got extremely jealous. Probably felt like she would lose her because of the stardom and all the competition out there and all that. And she ends up deleting Selena. I think Versace, if I'm not mistaken, and many others were in situations like that. So when I was young, there would be a lot of people, not necessarily famous, but you would hear that on the news, and a lot of times you would hear them use the term the crime of passion. Now, me noticing growing up that many people in positions of power or authority, they seem to be male and even female at that, homosexual, same-sex partnership type of person. I just noticed that as a child without anybody telling me that. It took me to go to school and just to interact in real life and hear other people's perspective for me to realize how right I was in what I picked up in the beginning. So I knew a long time ago, the way the adults raised us, they would always have us, explain what happened between you two when there was a fight or something like that. They want the whole story start from the beginning. So the way I regulated my situations of fighting and stuff and things like that, I would always observe the rules of the school or the house, the adults I was around. Therefore, I had to be pretty much like they told you to be. Everybody knows how we're raised to be. I had to pretty much be like that just to staying out of trouble is not the first thing. The first thing is this. As youth, when we're around the boys and girls our age, our peer group, and those who are just a few years older, if we're good people, neutral to whatever conflicts out there, we don't have enemies, we don't have issues, we tend to want to stay like that when we're good people. So that's the first and foremost. I don't want people to mistake me for the bully or the a-hole or whatever, the devil or whatever term we want to put on it, the spoiled sport, because I'm not. I should be able to interact and take part in all of the friendships and the camaraderie and the associations that come with, running together in the schools and the playgrounds and the neighborhoods and at the workplace once we got old enough to actually work. So I would always allow the comedian, if sometimes a person is not being a bully, they might be the comedian, the class clown, or the jokester and things like that. So I have a sense of humor. I can be the butt of the joke if it's funny or it's not. Things like that. So I would be more tolerant of a lot of things. I'm a very, very athletic person. I used to participate in all the sports, even the wrestling and all that kind of stuff so I would not be a spoiled sport. I would not be always want to fight because somebody got a little rough or this and that. So with that being said, we got a little older, and the male, since I'm a male, my problem with homosexuality, as far as I gotta put my foot down and say I'm not that, it's simply because I am a male. So if there's a male homosexual that's not in his bisexual moments, but is feeling kind of sexual towards somebody, is going to be another male. Now, with the males, we have a bond already. All the males, we have this bond because we've been growing up around each other and the other males when we was in other neighborhoods, and we got all this lingo, we got these ways, we got these crafts and different hobbies and things we all know about. We play football and basketball. So now, when puberty sets in, the male, no matter what his sexual orientation is, he still has testosterone. He still has aggression. He still has physical strength. That is definitely more than the female, more than the younger people. Some males grow faster than other males of the same age. So you have those who have more manly bodies that are around ones who have more boyish bodies. So they're going to be probably stronger a lot of times. So with that being said, it got to a certain point where I had to start having conversations with my friends that I never had And we were around that age of puberty. And this particular set of friends, they were new friends of mine. We didn't grow up together. We stayed around long enough to say now, as we look back, we can say we grew up together. But there was a time we couldn't say that, and that was when we first met. We had quite a bit of age on us for a child, to be a child. So 11 and 12, I find myself, for one of the first times, asking my friends what their sexual orientation was. And they were like tripping. Hey, what are you talking about? They laughing and all that. I'm like, nah, for real. Because I see we are becoming very good friends. And by that time, the daytime talk shows had started to become popular. And one of the main themes across the board on all the old shows, I can't remember who was first, but you had things like Geraldo and Sally Jesse Raphael. I forget what were the first shows. But anyway, those type of shows, daytime talk show. One thing that you would find on each show, every now and then, they would have quite a few shows on each particular platform. They would have this older, female or male, older than us. They were older than us. We were like 11, 12 up in there. But on the show, they would have the person and they would say, well, I brought you on this show because I had something to tell you. Da-da-da-da-da. And in the end, the person is telling the other person that they really dig them. They really feeling them. We've been friends a long time and I just want... And sometimes it would be heterosexual, but a lot of times it would be homosexual. That had started to begin more of the norm when it would be a reveal like that. Somebody opened up their heart to somebody. So I was like, look, I'm telling my friend, because a lot of people was laughing and stuff, they thought it was funny. So I'm telling my partners, man, I'm like, no, I have friends that are homosexual. I have neighbors. They are homosexual. I do not treat them badly. I don't pick on them. I had one friend. He and I, at one point, for like 2 or 3 years, we would be more active as far as playing sports and this and that, more so than his other brothers and other guys on the block. And I knew. I assumed everybody knew, but I was speaking to his brother a few years ago, and his brother asked me, he was like, well, how did you know? He was like, I didn't find out till this. I'm like, man, come on, bro. Ain't no dude gonna act certain ways, especially as a young man. Unless, of course, either you've been raised by women, which he wasn't. They didn't have that little sister till a long time. A house full of men, but daddy a man, all his brother men, right? But the thing about young guys, we already got a light voice as is. We try to make it tougher, try to make it huskier. We already got this small little bill. We tend to stick our chests out and act a little stronger than what we are. It's like overly macho for the average, regular, young, heterosexual guy. Because he's trying to, man up. Because he's really not a man. Yeah, he's a boy being matured into a man. And a lot of us, we resent that when we're young. We want to be more masculine. So when you find somebody that's way, way feminine, I know you might have a light voice, but it doesn't have to sound quite like that. It's like you can hear him kind of like making it effeminate. And then you got the little ways and all the little mannerisms and stuff like that. So I say all that to say, I never picked on anybody like that. And I truly believe, as a young guy, not looking back, but even back then, I truly believe if a guy was in school, we in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, and you picking on this guy constantly call him a sissy, call him a sissy. I'm wondering, well, if you think he's that, why spend so much time bothering him, especially at that age when we always say, when the girl pushed the boy in the head, the boy hit the girl and run, we'll say she like him or he like her. So you know you're going to get that. You know you're asking for that. And a lot of time we were young, a lot of people would admit, would deny when they really did like the boy, the girl liked the boy liked the girl. But they just didn't, we were coming into ourselves. Some people were slower than others. And a lot of youngsters, they just don't want to come to terms with who they really are. So they hide behind a lot of childish antics. Not all of them. Some of them was like, when I was growing up, majority of my classmates, most of them were like adults. I went to school in Decatur, in Fulton County, DeKalb County school system, Fulton County. And majority acted like adults, but you had those who were very childish. But those were the antics. So you know that somebody might even say that. Why would you be over there? Then if you really not like that, why would you make the person think that when you know the person probably is a homosexual? So you over there with all this jugging, joning, we call it joning up the road. Miami call it ranking. You ranking, you pushing, you prodding, and just constantly touching it and pushing it. Like, damn, the name stay in your mouth. And, you know, so me as a heterosexual, that's one of the first things come to mind. But even if that person was not like effeminate or whatever, then that makes me feel more of the effeminate one. Because a lot of times it would be the girl that'd be doing that, because the boy would be more, how would you say, less intimidated, more courageous, confident, to like kind of mac on the girl and let her know, yeah, I do like you. So even though boys might do that at a young age, a lot of the boy be the first one to grow out of it, and the girl would be probably more likely the last to grow out of hiding affection behind aggression. So with all that being said, I didn't grow up picking on no damn sissies. But one thing I couldn't tolerate was a bully, right? A bully. Probably not a homosexual. Or some sissy or a homosexual. You could be a booty bandit, a throat goat, or a throat goat hunter, right? Hunting for some throat, hunting for some booty, or you probably angling and slide and glide down that pole. So with that being said, I'm not going to allow any of those, any of those categories to take advantage of me. And anybody who went to school with me, they know that. And I know plenty other male and female classmates who were just the same. And that's what most my strongest friendships came out of school. Secondary would be work. But school was even stronger than neighborhood people who did not go to school with me. Because I had some people my age that went to different schools. So those bonds didn't last long. We didn't stay in each other's orbit long. But school, the bond tends to get stronger because we see more sides of a person, right? And then you just got that whole thing about just going to school together. It creates a bond. Our teachers used to tell us that these were some of the best friendships we'll have all our life. We wouldn't have friendships stronger than the one we formed in school, the alumni. Some teachers used to tell us that. So with that being said, I got to the point, I saw how we guys were becoming real tight. And I was like, well, look, before somebody around me that's what they eventually gonna call down low when it's gay. When we first started using the term DL, I got it from niggas from up north. They was the first ones using it. It was hard rocks, gangsters and stuff like that. And DL meant on the low, which is down low was the abbreviation for down low, but down low meant on the low. On the low meant on the cool. On the cool meant undercover. Undercover meant undetected by the police, parents who would deliver you up to the courts, to the bench, and ... We was doing crime or breaking rules that you might not go to jail, but it's a rule broken, you get disciplined in school, expelled, detention, that kind of thing. In a quiet corner, the dunce cap, those type of things. That's what we were using it in those instances. It was nothing sexual between two males going on. Now, little did I know, that term may have been used even then by homosexuals who were on the down low, or the ones who found out and were calling people out and saying, oh, they on the down low. I didn't know. I wouldn't have hardly ever used that term if I'd have known they were using it for that. It took a while, and when I look back, and usually it's somebody younger than us that's using the term, and they usually talking about some gay shit. Excuse my expression. Try not to cuss too much. But usually they talking about some two males, or maybe female, but a lot of times two males who are actually gay and trying to hide it. Or a male that's dealing with a female and he doesn't want her to know that he actually is into male just as much as female, probably more so. So now, it was a time that term was not used like that at all. And the guys who were using that around me, or even like listening to rap, because back, like I say, it was an East Coast term. It was street term. Most people in school, when I was growing up, most of them was late on street terminology unless it was something that was already in Hollywood. So by me born in 73, 5 years, 78, I'm 5 years old, 78. We almost out the 70s. So that's why my generation, my age group, I'm born in 73. So children that was born like 73, 74, up in there, they would make fun of the 70s because the 80s brought in a new lingo, a new cool, just a whole, so you still had slicksters and whatnot who still use those terms, but Hollywood kind of made it a clown thing, kind of clowned it. And a lot of Hollywood actors, like Jaguar Wright was talking about the other day, a lot of Hollywood actors are not really that good at acting. So they tend to kind of make street people look dumb and make the whole street life look dumb, look slow, look dumb. But in actuality, it's the other way around. So the real, and the media, news media and all that, they try to make them look bad and dumb and this and that and the third. But a lot of the geniuses were in the streets. So that lingo was still being used, but many of us, if we didn't have an uncle or older brother or a father that was real hip and whatnot, still in the life, we would be pretty much sheltered from that because we was like home, church, school, playground in the neighborhood. That's it. You ain't but 6, 7, 8 years old. You got a babysitter, you got an older brother, sister, always, you're a baby. So what happened is when terms like DL came out, we teenagers. And now the way the whole dynamics were, the way the court system and the policing agents came down on our elders, many of them had fell back. If they were free, they weren't in the life anymore because the streets were different when they were out there. They used to do 3 cars money, shell game, pickpocket. It was so much game in the streets, so much money. You would have a person who would say, for instance, pimp. You always talk about pimping. A pimp man might have a pool hall. He might have a bar, separate, not the one that's he might serve drinks at the pool hall, but he might have an actual bar or a liquor store, put it like that, a liquor store on another side of town or down the street somewhere. He might have like a duplex, a triplex, quadruplex apartment that he's renting out, like Gangsta Brown, for instance. He might have a fleet of cars. So And he might dabble in different quote unquote criminal enterprise because they illegalize a lot of things. So you would call it criminal enterprise. So he didn't just have girls on the street. When they came down Al Capone real hard. But they started targeting Negroes with the RICO law and things like that, a conspiracy down the line. You had to start making a choice. And a lot of time it wasn't, well, some people, if their heart was in it, they'll go that way. But a lot of people, it was a matter of money. I have to ask myself, well, what am I going to make the most money in? You know, so let me just do that. And everything else, I'm going to stop. Because they watching very hard. They quite likely will find out what I'm doing. People are telling more because don't nobody want to go to jail. And most people did not want to stop what they were doing. That's why so many black men and Latino men got locked up, poor white, because they had shit sold up. It was so much riding on them being who they are, the way they were. They you know, we come from our elders, they whipped the police ass. That's for real. The police was just one of us. So a lot of times the police, not so much of being afraid of us, a lot of police officers really didn't like their job in certain respects. As time went on, they started coming up with all these fines and fees, and it was more and more for the police to do. Because things that were legal became illegal, or they came along with certain rules and regulations, or you get a fine. You might not go to jail, but you get fined for this and that. It was times you could, in Florida, Dade County, you could add on to your house. You didn't have to go downtown and tell them what you were doing to your house. It's just so much around the board. It was a time you didn't have to have that little yellow sticker on your car, that decal. You know, it was so much. Insurance, driving the car without insurance. So over the years, they added on so many fees and what to things you do day in and day out. A lot of people did business without a business license. You know, it was so much. So it got to a time when the underworld people had been so thoroughly policed, they had been policed out of the game. So a lot of people who raised us were this and that. They stopped doing it. And they would have a lot of advice for us because the game was so messed up by the time we got in the game. Many of us, from my observation, would probably be doing one or two or three different things. And then you had those who still was kind of old school, but they even like for instance, when the chop shops closed down, a lot of car thieves had to stop because it don't make dollars, don't make sense. Most car thieves really wasn't joyriders. They was in it for the money. When the chop shops got hot as hell in the 80s, a lot of car thieves stopped. So you had a lot of stupid motherfuckers who was still doing it. They want to joyride. That's how they stole the car, just riding around for days and days and days, because they can do it. They go into jail. See? So, now, the older people was telling them, man, it's over. Before it was over, it was over. But some older guys, they would give us some advice. Now, you might, in the beginning, you would make a lot of money, but it was still risky. Even when you followed the rule, the techniques. It was new techniques we was coming up with. A lot of times you got it from an older person. If you would follow that advice. If you didn't, a lot of times nigga would go into jail back to back. If a nigga got out of jail, he'd go back. But it was like, put it like the police were taking people that was locking people up back to back. They were coming day after day, week after week. So if you didn't listen or be gifted with insight yourself, if you didn't listen, you probably was going to jail. They had turned it up on the war on drugs because they had done policed the community so bad you could hardly do a lot of the other stuff. Because the police was out there active. They was active on all that. Shell game, for instance. In Atlanta, police probably come and break that game up. Take the board from them, that kind of stuff. So 3-card money, same way. So it's like they wouldn't allow, they had detectives out there in plain clothes, not allowing a lot of stuff they call Slime Square. 42nd Street, Times Square, New York. That should be on Manhattan Island. Every other major city outside of New York City in America was a lot like that in its own little unique way. New York is such a bigger city that you could have so much more going on. It was just, the crowd was ridiculous. So you could have them people all up in the crowd, pickpocketing and conning, all there's so many different type of con games. And the main thing is like, man, back then was a time when people were better people in general. So the con game, for example, was such a big thing because a man was usually a man of his word. And you don't think he's going to take advantage of you like this. So when the con goes down, you in New York, it's easy for that person to make it so you don't see him again, even if you do see him. They got a wig on, they got this and that, Look right at him, don't even realize that's the same person that conned me last week. So the detectives, since they wanted the war on crime, not just drugs, war on crime, they started to ramp up their efforts against so-called criminal activity because they were making a business out of law and order or the penal system. So the smaller urban areas like Atlanta, Mobile, Alabama, they're smaller, even though those are like the capitals and stuff like that of the state and whatnot. It was easier for the police to crush all of that stuff. They were profiling, stop and frisk. So just that alone, you got a guy who's on parole. I remember that. A lot of guys was on parole, probation. They had long rap sheets. And many of these guys, they were not trying to go back to jail, and they didn't. A lot of people didn't want to change, and they stayed in and out of jail. So I was gifted with the opportunity to be coached by a lot of people who were intended not to go back, and they did not want to contribute to the delinquency of a minor, but they saw I was running on automatic. They saw I was self-guided out there. They saw a lot. So they would give me advice. But if you gonna do it, we see you. Ain't nobody making you do nothing, right? Like no gang or no big older person or nothing like that. You doing a lot of this shit yourself. But they see what I'm doing. They laugh too, but they give me some advice. Their first advice is stay in school and don't be out here doing that. But if you're gonna do that particular thing, they'll give advice. I soaked up game like a sponge. I got more game right now to this day than I ever had to put down. Because it's on a need-to basis. I got game I wouldn't even talk about. Because somebody else could use it. They might need it to feed their child or pay a bill and all this kind of stuff. So I don't talk a lot about all that game. I soaked up some game. But now in the rap industry, I would, because the rap on the spiritual level and the soulful level and even mental, emotional, I could still be me on the street before I stopped doing all that stuff in the song. I could live through that, and then it got to the point rap was making more money than the streets, because the streets, the money you make is really a trap. It's really like the monkey with his hand in a coconut with a cube of salt or sugar. He wants the sugar cube, the salt cube, but he wants his hand free too. He can't have both. His fist is too large to get out the hole. He has to open his hand and squeeze his hand together, thumb and palm, and take and maneuver his hand until the whole hand comes out. You can't do that holding the fist, not even with the fingertips clutching the sugar cube. You gotta drop it to get it out. And that's how the drug game, even right now today, is worse than ever. They knocking them off left and right. I'm talking about huge organizations, right along with the money. See, they wait until they find out what the money laundering network is doing and where it's at. Audit. Right? See all this surplus stuff they can't account for, and then snatch them all down. That's what they doing right now. Because these young people, most of them young, because the real gangsters in their 80s and 90s and 100 dead. The ones who really, really, really paved the way and made this shit, they 100 and something years old. 90 something, 80 something years old. 70s is babies. You in your 70s, 80, you a baby. That's my mama them. They babies. I remember my mama them was in their 30s. They babies. They ain't shit. So all these motherfuckers now, as adult age, is nobodies. They wasn't even in their daddy's nuts when this thing was being put down. A lot of these motherfuckers came in the game after Y2K. You 28, you was born 97, 96, 6, some 7, 8 up in there. 97. 28 years old, should be 97. 25, 2025. 97 plus 3 is 2000, that's 28. You're born in 97, you ain't shit. Mentally, it's impossible for a human that young to be as smart as motherfuckers who was already 20, 30, 40, 50 something when you was born. It's too much shit, you got too much catching up to do. You dumb as fuck. Then you got the computers. Lazy as fuck. You got dummies who will go on the computer and Google how to hide a dead body. They just killed the person. It's how dumb motherfuckers is today. When the police finally get around in them, they find all that shit out. While he's sitting in their face, lying his ass off. They got so much shit from cyberspace that you put out there, always on that goddamn computer. Hardly ever have a face-to-face. Then you get face-to-face, you're talking. You got a cell phone in your pocket. Picking up everything you say. Even if it's dead. Even if you take the battery out. Dumb on top of dumb. Talking all this slick shit. That's why even my son included. Fuck you, bitch. If you don't listen to me, when you know I never, first of all, I ain't like a lot like Hargrove was talking about. Charles, I done forgot her name. We call her Charlie. Charles Setter. She was talking about, she said, no, it's a lot of these old niggas out here steering these young niggas wrong. Old nigga, that old school OG game. Because a lot of OG, like technically OG 35 and up. So if you just not getting to be an OG, you a baby. And you ain't no real OG. Like I keep saying, the real ones, 100 and something years old, 90, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you doing the same shit that was doing that long ago, you dumb as fuck. A lot of people doing it to the T. When in all actuality, it's almost like doing everything you learned in swimmer's class as a swimmer, your swim coach taught you in Riptide. Jump from the beach on solid land, knowing it's Riptide out there, and say, oh, I know how to swim, and jump out there in the Riptide. Boy, you a fool. Shark infested water, Riptide. Yeah, okay. So now, fast forward to the subject at hand is, I know they would say, I could have a friendship with a person. Me, I grew up around guys that I never saw do anything homosexual. They had girls, girlfriends. We sacrificed a lot for the women. We went through a lot for. We fought a lot of times. Some of them guys in them gangs, they were trying to impress girls. More so, they really didn't even really want to fight. A lot of them, they just saw how the girls like the gangsters. They like niggas that fight. I remember the kind of school system. They'd be quick. You feel them female? Oh, he bold. Right? They had a lot of reactions to when, a guy just what we used to call it, we call it ribbing up. Rib up means to instigate, to boost a person up to do something. A lot of times it was to fight or possibly commit a crime or something. They call it ribbing him up. So, when the guy get worked up and stand up and call a person out and let him know he will fight him, he don't care about getting suspended and get in trouble and all that. That would be one of the reactions. Oh, he bold. So all the females back then who probably gonna fuck up, put it like that, sexually active. A lot of them, they was like, if you didn't dress a certain way and you didn't act a certain way, your last resort probably, you got to get her some money. And a lot of guys, they'd rather finesse it. They'd rather just dress a certain way and cut their hair a certain way and all that. Take care of themselves, like a PI should, and attract a woman through that, because that was another route. Have something of your own. You got a car, nice wardrobe, you got your own money, so you ain't got to come over their crib for food and whatnot, and she doesn't have to help you put your little wardrobe together. They like that too, especially back in the day, because for the most part, we go back before they start playing for NFL and NBA money, no serious money. See, way back when Steve Barkowski and Dick Buckers and them type of people was playing ball, right? So you didn't have a lot of urban, poor white, black and brown with a lot of money, unless of course they were born into some money or they probably was into some type of underworld activity, crime. That was the only people who had the money, right? Or a so-called good job, and they was on the budget. And they used to do a lot of, we call it red dot, blue dot special shopping. Even Goodwill and Salvation Army, go in the right neighborhood. What rich people do, they tend to buy seasonally. So last season, they'll take that to Salvation Army, Goodwill, because their closet can only hold so much stuff. We back in the day used to have mothballs in the closet and all that, because the animal stuff eat your clothes up. So you could go in a rich neighborhood, Salvation Army, Goodwill, and get last spring's clothing, right, top of the line, right, and it's still like late spring, we're going into summer, especially back in the day. So you had those type of people who we call it putting on airs. The old school call it putting on airs, keeping up with the Joneses. They look like they have it, but they don't have it yet. They just have the trappings of success or whatever to call it. Material things, costly things, retail costly, but they don't really have wealth and don't have a lot of liquid cash either. Living check to check, probably overextended credit. Right. So now, with all that being said, I wasn't with getting too close to a guy who was like that without knowing he was like that. Because if I know, okay, we could be friends all day. We could talk with blah, but I know where you at. So I know what not to do to have you thinking I'm on the same page you are when it comes to sex. That way, they can't say in the courts. Ultimately, the parents, the teachers, the police agents, and the bench, right? The bar association, they can't say I misled the person. I finessed the person in this type of thing. Because what's gonna happen, the minute they touch me in a sexual way, you can talk shit all you want. The minute you touch me, as a matter of fact, if you talk a certain way, I'm gonna tell you. But you just talking, so I ain't gonna harm you. But I'm gonna tell you, and I'll probably make some space between us. I'm gonna stay out that person's face. Cause now that they said that, well, me just coming around any more than I need to, that might be like, oh, I want to be flattered some more by some flattery, you know. No, not even. I want to tease the person, make them. I want them to do more. Now you got that. It take more than that to get me. No, I don't want to mislead you, and I don't want you to use that, or especially the bar association and the bench, especially, and the policing agent, to use that and say, I teased and played, and no, I didn't. And why? Because I know I have the right to defend myself from any unwanted sexual advances. And any unwanted sexual advances go in the same category as human trafficking, kidnapping, murder, serial killer. You don't know what a person got on their mind. And like I say, I'm a child of the Atlanta child. I was living in Atlanta / Decatur, DeKalb, and Fulton County. We was all through. We were never in one. We was always had some business in DeKalb, Atlanta Masjid, Bankhead Shorty, Grant Park, Piedmont Park, all that that was downtown Atlanta. That was every day, every other day. When we moved to Decatur, when we first got to Atlanta, the first apartment was High Tower Apartment. That's where the train station, if it's still there, I think they stopped some bus routes, but all train stations should still be in the same spot. High Tower train station was High Tower Apartment. That was our first domicile in Georgia. Shouted, don't make me do it to you. So I'm gonna pop off. I'm popping off. I was like that then. I was always like that. And what happened? All my older brother, my close brother, got me by 3 years, and he ended up being bigger than me anyway. To this day, he bigger than me, taller, heavier, right? He was cockstrong too. All my brother, my mama first one, got me by 11 fucking years. That means when I was 4, he was a man. He was goddamn about 15, right? And it was very rough when they played. So I always knew, man, I never had to fight my older brothers. Never. But I knew if I ever had to fight them, I had to hurt them bad. So I was on Kyosho Doso, Spasuto, as a child because I had to be like that before I even knew that term, right? Before I knew really pretty much, because they would teach you when you was young. First you would hear them telling the children how not to handle you. You get a little older, there's to be telling you and other children your age how not to handle the little infants. So that's how I learned. I learned from that, handling babies. What parts of the body was always vulnerable, no matter what age. So I always knew I'd fuck them up. And a lot of guys my age were bigger than me in the same grade school. I was always calm, quiet, because I knew one thing adult not gonna tell me, because we had a lot of, when we were growing up, we had a lot of adults. First of all, they beat your ass bad. And also they'll tell you don't let nobody put their hands on you, let nobody beat you up. And that's the side I let raise me. All that other shit they talking. But both sides won't let you be a bully. So you had to be able to be patient and not get into all that shit. Like I be talking on my posts and all that stuff I be talking about. what does not predicate you getting violent. Trying to use a word, I look at that word, or I might not even use that word right. What does not condone? When is not condone that you get violent, and what is? So I always stuck to that. So in this issue here, if I get a little too friendly, too much, too often with a person like that, people will start saying, especially people that see you all the time, oh, y'all friend, oh, y'all, basically they'll say, nigga, you gay too. Basically, that's what they'll be saying. You always around, y'all always laughing and sniggering over there and telling. So what I do is distance myself. Certain conversations and certain interactions. If we not playing a sport, if we not on a class project or something where it dictates, okay, collective effort. Well, you know, even heterosexual guys, and even if women I like, matter of fact, the women I like, a lot of women don't even know to this day I like them in school. Because if things just don't unfold a certain way, I'm not going to bother them. Because they probably don't want to be bothered by me. See? So, with all that being said, come to find out what I suspected as a youth. When I got older, I realized, I said, damn. And I still don't know it because there ain't nobody saying it like this yet. Hardly nowhere. But out here, you know, I was raised in the Nation of Islam. Right? The Nation of Islam is what American Muslim Mission come from. So when you see the ones acting like the ones in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, the black ones, a lot of them probably wouldn't even know nothing about that shit if it wasn't for the Nation of Islam. The ones that act more like Farrakhan and them, Elijah Muhammad, suit and bow tie. All that come out of Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, Master Muhammad. Post-colonization, you didn't have many masjids. Those were points of targets of attack. The people of that culture were targeted. And those were the main ones enslaved. You see that in slave codes and all. If you profess Christianity, they would let you be free. If you profess Islam, they would enslave you. So post-colonization and come Emancipation Proclamation, majority of them coming up out the slave plantation, those was Muslims. Because you couldn't enslave a Christian during the time when they were forcing people into slavery. Now, you could become one after the fact, but since you waited so long, you probably stayed a slave. See, that's how that worked out. Now, so I get in corporate America, entry-level, minimum wage jobs. And soon, very soon, my first job was Edison. My partner laughed so hard, I didn't find that shit funny at all. My partner laughed so hard when I gave him my side of the story of what happened. But right by Miami Edison, that McDonald's still there right now today. And I think it was after the 8th grade. I was going into the 9th grade, I believe, when school started back, but school had started back. I think I graduated 8th grade. And I'm working one of my first days. My cousin from Tennessee, his girlfriend was working there too. One of my first days. I mean, one of the first day, if not the first day. It probably was, because I did get a check. I bought some shoes, a couple of other items. But one of my first days, the man, receding hairline, bald on the top of the head, little pot belly, tried to start an argument about how fast I was making his hot cakes, which is another term for butt cheeks too. You don't know. You know, back in the day we say your ass flat as a pancake, all this kind of stuff. Right. and being a sissy, that's the closest thing to a vagina he'll ever have, his mouth and his butthole. He said, I ain't making his hot cake fast enough. And he called himself beat me getting mad. I'm talking about he's snapping. And anybody who ever taught, trained, anybody on the job, especially corporate, big major corporation like that with a position as a manager, know that the first day basically a child to the workforce, something, especially a male cooking in the kitchen, it's gonna be some shit you need to tell him and show him. And he told me to do it, but didn't show me how to do it. So I had to learn as I went. And I noticed that the batter spread pretty wide. So I had to gauge how far away from the last spot to move, not move so too far and not too close. It's because the batter need not touch. Each pancake need to have a separation of grill. But you separate too much, then it's less pancakes you can get on the grill. So I'm trying to figure that out. So when he started talking like that, one thing, I got hazel brown eyes. We about the same height. We gonna be eye to eye, face to face. I ain't getting in there. I don't get in nobody's face. I ain't getting in a nigga face arguing with a nigga. I'm not gonna argue. I ain't even gonna talk to him. I'm not gonna plead for my job. I will take this stainless steel pancake batter presser and beat his ass with it. Take one of them hot, them spatulas off that grill. If they got, I know Wendy's got spatula. I would grab some of that hot fry back and beat his ass in that mug, put his face in that grease. I will beat this faggot's ass in this bitch. I know that much. I was a nasty fight. When I was younger, I was way nastier. I had to use a lot of nasty shit to really end some shit quick, and that's all I did. I had a partner work at Zesto. I probably hadn't even got to McDonald's yet, because he got me by a year. He worked at Zesto's up the street. I forgot exactly which street Zesto. That's one of the major, like Memorial and Glenwood. Memorial. I think Memorial and Glenwood run north, east and west. Moreland run like north and south. I think that Moreland run north and south. They intersect with Memorial and Glenwood. So I think Zesto was on Memorial or Glenwood. We was on Tilson. And my partner came home one day and said, man, the man worked him and it wasn't going to pay him. We ain't talking about no week in the hole. We talking about nigga just ain't going to pay him. And the nigga worked. I said, I tell you what. I said, don't do nothing. I said, don't do nothing till he gonna fuck him up. I think down by law, the gang had done started by then. But we ain't quite running with them yet because we still young. So Mike Murphy don't really want to get contributed to the delinquency of a minor, so he ain't doing but so much with us. And through Randolph, that's how we get to fuck with him anyway, through Randolph White. Cause he about like Ray Randolph, so that's like his little brother. So we still get a little play, but we don't get a whole lot of play. I told her, I say, check this out. I say, we gonna go up there, but we ain't gonna go in together. We ain't gonna walk together. You gonna go up first, and I had him wait a while so that when he see me, cause I don't want us being seen walking together on Counter Road. We gotta take Counter. I said, but when you see me, you go in. So we gonna walk a distance apart, but you gonna stop. Let me catch up. When you see me going and go in, you know I'm on the way. And when I go in, I had a low-key way he was going to show me who the manager was. I probably going to figure it out anyway. But I needed him. I gave him a sign. I said, but don't never say shit to me. See, if I ain't got no money, I ain't going to buy nothing. I'll come and look at the menu and leave. If I got some money, I might get something. And I just need to see who that nigga is. I was going to fuck his ass up. But we did not play. And every time I came, I'm telling you, every time I came into the fold when it was time to get some straightening, 99.9% of the time, niggas would tell me that's all right. We ain't gonna go that far. I'm talking till I got I was about grown by the time some shit happened. Me and my partner, some partners, a nigga tried us. They knew the nigga more than me. When I said what I said, it was only one nigga in the room. We was on a conference call. We had 3 ways. So to have more, each person got to do a 3-way to get as much people on the phone as possible. So we had quite a few people on the phone, so more than one person had to do a 3-way. So I can only see one person's face. Everybody else on the phone. That nigga face like he seen went white. He black as fuck. Nigga face went white like he seen a ghost. Everybody got quiet. And somebody said, no. So he say, don't worry about it. Nigga, I was gonna fuck that nigga up. And it is what I said. See, it's what I said. Exactly how. They were like, shit. And they knew that nigga was out of gas. He ain't got nothing for that. See, I don't even play. Now, like, as you can see, ain't no bully shit going on, but at the same time, I'm not gonna allow nobody to take advantage of me. I didn't like to see people get taken advantage of. And that's just how it was. That's how we roll. So, now, in corporate America, like I say, and that's a classic example right there. Because by now, I'm rapping. Me and Quinzo done put that shit out. And Shamik, Jean Jasmine, Phase 2. And Mac 10 that came out as Broken English. On the heels of me and Quinzo coming out with that Eastwick motherfucker and all that. Claim to fame. They ain't never got gaffer like that. And this the motherfucking wick. So what was happening, little do I know, many more people was trying to get me to conform. And in my shit, which is the industry, music industry, slash that Hollywood, more than likely 99.9% of the time, what they basically doing is force you into homosexuality. Because many times them people, they used to have a joke about the casting couch. I was a jet. I was real young. But many times, you ain't too often, you ain't gonna get nowhere fucking with them. Unless you do some shit like that. That was a no-no. I do something independent. See? And by then, no, not yet. We don't know. I'm about to find out about Master P in another 2 years. It's 93. I don't know nothing about no Master P. Closest thing to Master P I know is me and Slimzo. Hitman, Sammy Sam, Edward J. Right? Disco Dave, Jam Pony Spread. That's the closest thing I know. And of course Luke Skywalker and Easy, Eric Wright. Jay Prince. That's the closest I know to Master P. Too Short, Ice-T. Selling music out of the truck. And being quite successful at it. You know, it was other people, but quite successful. So it took the last few years, man, for me to realize just how fucked up they had been to me over the last like 25 years. No, 30, 35. Something like that. Because all this shit come out by Puffy. See, when they killed Eric Wright was about the same time they put the finishing touches on having Puffy come out as a CEO of a record company. Coming from under Andre Herrera, Uptown Records and all that stuff there. That was around the same time. Like right when they solidified that. Right when Craig Mack was blowing up with his first song, Flavor, I think Flavor in Your Ear, is when Eazy-E got killed. He had just not too long put out Compton City G, that all the shit I was talking about the other day. It's the end of the world, and niggas ain't got no sad if this and Dre and Snoop Dogg. And they knocked him off. Puffy is established. And I know now, looking back, how many people was pushing me toward, if not Puffy them, come to find out it's some funny shit going on at LaFace record. This from inside. And LaFace was about the only thing doing something in Atlanta. For some reason, man, it just, too many Atlanta niggas was just too lackadaisical, man. Too apathetic. And I didn't like that because The older niggas, if they wasn't retired, they just didn't like fucking with young niggas. Young niggas made too many mistakes, too green. And amongst the young niggas, man, they just would not get it together, could not get it together, and just so much talent, we just sitting on it. And I'm in the street, been in the street, trying to get my money because I know I'm better off living by myself with all that equipment and all that. I need my own shit. So all that baller blocking in the streets really fucked me up real bad. A lot of it's just like every time I turn around, I cut my losses. I end up with a person who basically the same as the one I just stopped fucking with. They talk too much, way too petty. They aim too low. I get some gusto, get some money. And like I say, all the niggas like me a lot of them was older. A lot of them didn't even want to be fucked up with me. And it's like every time I get with the wrong person, it make it harder and harder for somebody. And I know this in my mind and my heart. It's making it harder and harder for somebody that's seasoned, that will do it, to mess with me, because these niggas making me hot. They talk too much. They blowing lick, blowing wreck. And just so much, I just had to tell you how it exactly went down. One time me and Rico Maxwell was on the street, and a nigga was with us. He pulled out the gun and let off broad daylight. Bam, bam, bam. We get back in the car. He was already talking. I'm a gangster. Spice One had just not too long came out. And I pinned it. I said, man, nigga he trying to live out a rap album, dog. He trying to get a reputation. He want to be seen. He want to be known. Female had dropped him off over there we was at. I had just not too long met this fuck nigga. And we was so broke, we used to have to do like 2 or 3 capers to pull off one main caper. Cause we didn't have shit. So, you know, I ain't got no gloves, I ain't got no ski mask, I ain't got shit. I ain't walking no bank. Definitely ain't walking no bank like that. Plain face. No gloves and no certain type of shit, right? That's why a lot of times if you ever hear me rap or ever hear me talk about that, you always hear something about some carjacking, if not car theft. Ain't got shit. But I'm fucking with niggas. All they want to do, if they steal a car, that's all they do. Once they get that, they ride around their friends and family. And but back then you could do that for longer periods of time, for weeks. You have a stolen car, and all they doing is joyride, smoking joints, drinking alcohol. They might steal a bottle of alcohol or cans or something like that. They might do that. Or other than that, they bumming and slumming, riding up on niggas to hit their joint. I'm like, man, and we done talked about some other shit, but then they'll get that. So I had that happen way too many times. Nigga was out there talking a good one. A lot of guys used to do dope boys like that. They'll talk a good one. The guy who's selling dope for real, they'll talk a good one. They'll get a something like a quarter ounce, half ounce, maybe 8 ball. If the guy was doing much better, they might get a whole ounce. Might get more than that. Making money so fast, dudes would risk it. Nigga dealing in keys, you can't sit on cocaine for so long anyway. Dealing in keys, he might throw 5 ounces of nigga away, see what he do with it. But he got it so locked down and sold up, he gon' see his money. You just burning your face up. That's all you doing. You just entering the line of credit. The first time you get, that's your dumb ass. Nigga might not even put a hit on you. So a lot of guys were doing the dope boy like that. See, you listen to all the niggas who rave with our music, get the motherfucking wick and claim the fame. You hear him, well, that's why he's saying, so he's talking about you rolling hard. That's what he talking about. The trap is so legit. A nigga trying to talk up on the front. He trying to talk up on some weight. You put it in the hand, you don't see him no more. Every time you see him, he broke. Got some type of story. Some niggas don't go for that. That bit done hurt you. So back to the subject at hand. These guys was pushing me towards something. I know for a fact, I know the guys who were from Atlanta, from Miami, who was with all the hot acts back then. It was a time when it was like Cool J was the hottest thing out. Before that, Run DMC was the hottest thing out. So these guys were backstage, and sometimes they'll be a part of the whole production or whatever of the concert. By the time the talent came from in town, usually from the tri-state area in the beginning of hip hop. Miami started How Can I Be Down shit. Atlanta had Jack the Rapper. And Jack the Rapper, I don't know if that was for every city or that one city. They had Jack the Rapper. That's for industry insiders, networking like type of shit. But this was all that bullshit was going down that they coming to the surface with now. And admit more so now than ever that a lot of rappers dead. Phife Dawg dead. You know, Craig Mack, there's a lot of people dead now. Right? Untimely death at that. So back then, whatever it was to see, a lot of niggas saw it. And I read into the situation when I started finding it. I said, I know what it is. I know what it is. See, they not gonna talk about it like that because they don't want me to be feeling like they bashing me. Cause you know they call it gay bashing. They want me to be like, feel like, oh, you know, we peoples, you know. So they know I'm talented. If I get the gig, I'm gonna run back to Amazing JC, the Amazing One JC. You know, DJ Player P, the rock star. People like this. Cutter Man, Showtime, Miami Mac, Problem 13, Devastator X, Money D the Rhymester. I'ma run back to these people. Gorilla Tech. Cause they already know. That's why they basically blackballed me from the production. I sat and watched niggas who didn't know jack shit get taught right before my very eyes. A lot of shit wasn't done, that's why I don't know it. A lot of shit wasn't done where I could see it, but they were still doing that when I did see what I saw. It was still more to learn. And I saw those sessions where they were teaching such and such, this and that, and they teaching such and such, this and that. Right? They knew I was gonna need them, and they gonna make sure I need them. They also knew from watching how I was with selling candy, selling dope, and shit like that, that if they would help me make my own shit, I probably would do just that. Sell it myself, and that's it, and be content with the money I got with that. And probably, if anything, before I go to the industry doing some homosexual shit, casting couch shit, I'll probably take some money from selling them cassette tapes back then and vinyl. Then CD came out, I'll probably go get me some dope, knowing me the way they knew me, and sell some dope. Probably never need an industry in my damn life. Go into some other shit, open up some type of store. Still selling dope. These niggas went so far as to fuck up $1 million trap. By now, Cold Chillin' record label done came out and put out Juice Crew and all that. Juice Crew still new, still hot around this time. They just knocked Isaac Hicks' organization off. Not the whole organization, but the main ones right around Ike. They just knocked them off. James Boss Sawyer. Right now, some of them niggas just not getting back good and getting on podcasts and whatnot. James put his book out some years back, but they just now getting kind of like, you kind of seeing them kind of regular online now. More and more people. Who was that interviewing? Oh, Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley just got back not too long ago. Bo Diddley on Mr. Bailey shit the other day. He must have got bonded out. That looked like something after the lockup. Because I'm looking at the time he published that on his channel, YouTube, unless he sat on that. Because they definitely didn't talk about it. It seemed he probably was before he got locked up. Because they ain't discussed nothing about him getting locked up. They ain't discussed nothing about that. I don't know, his lawyer told him not to talk about that, if he did bond out. I ain't asked nobody yet. So much shit happening, man. Rest in peace, man. Some players out of Shadalong got knocked off, I heard. But one person told me. I ain't talked to nobody else. No family members of them or nothing. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. You lost 2 soldiers out of Shadalong. Right. So anyway, they balled a block. They blocked me in the streets. They blocked me in the suites. And I was in corporate America, non-music industry places. Or sometimes it'd be a person, small business person, got his own little business. This motherfucker come to find out they bisexual. Trying to talk me into this and that. And it's sad when the only person that'll give you a job is a person like that. You got a lot of people, man. I don't think a lot of these guys was homosexual, but they wouldn't give me no damn job. See, some of them I'm starting to wonder about. As I look back, think about how some of them conversations, well, I don't know, man, nigga, I don't know, man, nigga, boy, they probably so used to nigga knowing what the play be, play with the lick read. And used to niggas just plopping their head in their lap, zipping their pants, and pull it out, work it up. I don't know, man, but hey, man, look here, player. Boy, that was a good way to get messed up, man. It got to the point, man, I used to hang around. I'm trying not to say no name, boy. I used to hang around the hole just to be able to snatch a pistol from a nigga if I had to go knock a nigga off. I was out there one day, man, nigga had some shit. He got to be every bit of like 6'2", this nigga here. 6'3" with some thick sole shoes on. He's about 6'2", 6'1". That gun, when the barrel touching the ground, the motherfucking gun butt about up to his shoulder. He had that long. That nigga let that shit off that night. That before Joselito died. Got that bit. Boy, you can feel that jive reverberating through the ground. Right? You know how the sound be when you right up on the one that's going off. Man, that nigga let that bit loose. It had to be around like New Year's. What's the other event? 4th of July. You can get away with that shit. Boy, that jive went off. And that's why. It got to a point, because I had kind of like fell out with some of them niggas. But I was still all right. I was all right with more than the ones I fell out with. But there was some key players that I fell out with. But I hang around, because I say, boy, if I need it, I'm going to take it. Because what had happened, they deported one of my niggas. They deported him. That's wasn't the main nigga I used to get guns from. He started off just giving them to me. The first 2 I got for him, he gave them to me. Straight up. Put it in my hand. He didn't give it to me to have. He put it in my hand and let me have it. To hold, to do with it, whatever I need to do with it, blah, blah, blah. Right? For a good minute, right? Then you had other ones who were but it had to be something going on, or we doing some business, and got to the point I couldn't get shit from nobody. Before I knew what was going on, the nigga wasn't putting nothing in my hand. I said, damn. Damn. And really and truly, I had proven, through what was going on out here in the streets, that I really needed that. Now up the road, it's different. In Atlanta, I can still get that. But in Miami, and I thought, well, maybe probably because they don't want me to go back up in there. I had some shit in Atlanta. Need to straighten. They probably thought I might go up there and have some business up there and probably get fucked up with the police and shit. I don't know what it was. But they kind of turned on me, and by the time I got back from that shit up there, they kind of turned on me. But all that to say, everywhere I went, corporate America, but not the industry, it was some homosexual shit going on. That's another thing. I got to the point people didn't even want to hire me no more for the jobs I used to get. I ended up going to what? A deco. Temp service. Through them, I don't even remember what the fuck I was doing. What the hell I was doing through them? Some shit. I don't even remember. I know the temp service was a deco. Ken Price. That was through prison. No, not prison. The thing that worked with prisoners. I forget. Transitions. Transitions worked with ex-con. Downtown Miami. Transitions hooked me up with Ken Price, landscaping. I got let go real quick. If I could stacking them checks. You need to put a check with a check with a check. Stack up on your grip, get your shit sprayed wet. Yeah. Job there, dude. Deed up. At them, they locked me out the game. The robbers was got them before, like I said, a certain part, I think it was 97, when they started putting them cameras up on them goddamn lights and shit. Before that, when you still could get in old school, the old way, and get away with it. Oh, Lord Jesus. So basically, they had just bullshitted me about the game all that time until the point the game was over. And it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, because the ace in the hole that the court system had was the fact all you took was a nigga to open their mouth anyway. And that's what they were doing back then. When they didn't have all the Ring doorbell camera and cell phone pinging out the cell phone tower, all the tactics they use to catch us these days if they catch you. But your co-defendant, or y'all stupid, one or more of y'all stupid to talk around people who not the civilians, the people who not going out on the mission, on the tour, talking around them too much. Now they got something to say to the authorities, and that's your ass. So, I was triggered by a person. The algorithm, the computer it's really the computer. We don't decide who we see when we scrolling down Facebook and stuff like that. So this person had two different occasions. They were saying something. It's like, dang, it seemed like my personal impression, because I'm in my world. Like, that's a response to what I've been doing, because I just started doing this form of publication on the heels of them messing up my smartphone DJ. This thing I had going on Facebook, smartphone DJ, and losing my phone and all this kind of stuff. So the things this person was saying was like, I don't even want to hardly say what they said, because I don't even want the person to know I'm talking about them, because it ain't even, it ain't a personal thing. It's not like I don't like them or they hating on me or nothing. It just how things grate your nerve, they irritate you, rub you the wrong way. Like a cat clawing a chalkboard, like kind of clawing a chalkboard. It just, and it just got me to want to just say something. Because this person is not the only person taking that stance, And so, like, I'm gonna point this out, though, before I wrap this thing. I gotta make a move. I told New Yorkers, Darion and Travis, I think that's their name, two brothers. I said, man, the reason why a lot of people made it as far as they did in the record industry, because that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the record industry at the time. Say, because they are gay. And it's not trying to say, oh, they fake. No, what I'm saying is, people with positions of power in the industry, off the record, they will give you a choice. You do something with me, that person, right? Or, hit the road, Jack. It's not about your talent. Like Jaguar Wright pointed out, man, a lot of actors can't act. Shit. A lot of singers can't sing as well as if you knew singers, if you knew a lot of people who can sing, you'll realize a lot of singers, if you want to compare, they can't sing. Especially when you take all the special effects, all their voice. Put them in an auditorium somewhere with acoustics made for instruments and vocals, and let them go for set with no instrument playing at all. Take that mic away, they'd probably really be in trouble. Now, give them a glass of water, that's it. Now, salt water, you get some salt water, gargle that jive a little bit. Warm salt water at the bottom of your throat, yeah. Remind you of anything? Hey, check this out. So, check this out. If I was like that, and somebody, okay, that's not a problem. It's not a hindrance. I'm not hindered by that. So I get in the door. And when you're dealing with the industry, what they tend to do when they focus on the talent, they will build the talent up. They get writers, okay, stylists for clothing and hairstyle. I mean, they will actually make this person into something that this person really did not come in as. This person, even when a person has some talent, a lot of times they might tell them, no, I don't like that idea. So that album by such and such is really not the expression, the artistic expression of such and such. That's a lot of people. But that became the puppet. Okay. As opposed to somebody like say Rakim. Rakim ain't got no damn ghostwriter. And he got to the point, he started producing most of his tracks for his song. When you look at his whole discography, you can see he produced most of that himself. So you're not gonna do somebody like that. So, me personally, I never got past just like a pre-production producer. Because in all actuality, I never was an industry type. I'm not a music industry cat. I was introduced to hip hop by music industry cats / some street cats too, niggas who was not in the industry either, who grew up with hip hop in its infancy out of the tri-state area, Philly, places like that, right? So I was exposed to both sides, but I'm really not an industry cat. So what happened was they were trying to push me to that, and they blackballed my efforts to just be independent. Me trying to get my own place, never really getting that until way later in life. And when I did, I didn't have the resources to get the equipment I needed. When it all finally came together, it was a gazillion centuries into the future. Buck Rogers been here and gone and dead and gone. And finally, what they did, they blew a hole in my roof. Some kind of fucking way, a hole came in my roof. Now, whether they did it intentionally or not is not the issue. If they didn't do it intentionally, the issue is they refused to fix it. I knew from experience, most landlords in Miami didn't want to deal with me. I always had to get a place through somebody else. When I tried to get it myself, some of them wouldn't even return my calls, messages. If they did, once they found it was me, they wouldn't hear from me no more. I'll be forever like that. I started going through other people. These other people refused to help me. I had the money, I didn't have the help. Everybody I know shut down on me. Me and Imam Melvin Sabri used to sit and have 30, 40-minute conversations about how we need to get together and do this and that. When I got my money to start doing things like that, Imam Melvin Sabri walked off from me when I tried to talk to him, walked away. Wouldn't say a word, wouldn't look back. Not look at right in my face while I'm calling him by his name, looking him in his eyes. And by the time I get to Melvin Sabree, I done ran through most people I know. And for one reason or another, I know not to go back. That's one thing I do, I don't go back. I wouldn't go back to a Problem 13, to a Sherman Fisher, God Kuwait, S.A. Fool. I wouldn't go back to a lot of people. Low So Dirty ate off my plate. Only way Southern Philly album could be here because Red Dawn album was put on the back burner. That was me. I gave the okay on that. Ed Poe, Dexter Wilson, and Sal asked me politely and waited patiently for a response. I told them, go ahead. Same way when they bought these cats to me, Problem 13. They had, every person that came into the fold, Sal, Ed, and Dex would ask me, what you think about Devastator? What you think about Problem? I gave them a chance. They all fucked me over. Only way they didn't ask me about was Mac 10, but I suggested Mac in the beginning when it was just me and Sal. I just didn't think of going to Mac before they locked me up in 2000 because these niggas were fucking up. I seen 8 Ball twice. One time he was with MJG, one time he was by himself. Club Ice, Players Club, Club Ice. And the other time, Uncle Al, Peace in the Hood, dedicated to Uncle Al, with Big E and all them. Me and Adonis Parker was on stage. Adonis Parker got me that gig. I supposed to been going on stage. They ended up fighting. They ended up fighting on the stage. All the acts and shit were fighting and shit. I pulled back, and I never got on stage. 8 Ball and MJG Rock, they was like one of the main acts. And the reason why I was approaching these niggas, seen Bun B like 3 times. Seen Big Gip once. I was out there when Suge Knight got shot in the stomach, South Beach. Oh, I think, if I remember correctly, that was Pimp Tone was still out when they shot Suge Knight in the stomach. I think. He was still out or he had just got locked up. And there's several others. Then you had other ones coming through Mac, Terror Squad, Fat Joe them, CO Money Mob, people like that. But I would never approach these people because, number one, I didn't want to go to their studios. I worked long and hard to have my own shit, to do shit my way. When I get with a motherfucker who not bullshitting, one thing about Slim Zo in the studio, once he say he gonna do it, and sit and look me in my face and say, and start talking song, usually that song come. It just take a long time for that to happen. One of the main reasons is, I ain't gonna lie, it's me because I wasn't there. After a certain point in time, he told me he didn't get serious till after they killed Derrick Brown, Scooby. By that time, I was gone. He called me on the 3-way. I was in jail. They did a 3-way. Him and my mama did a 3-way. And that's how I found out Scooby got knocked off. They started Explicit Entertainment, EIN, Dun and Bradstreet number. You know, like, come on up here, man. I need your help. And got up there. He was juggling so much that I ended up doing more with Dirty Dozen than just with me and him. But we finally got one good one. We had done something before that, but we finally got one good one. That was more up to par what me and him do. Niggas like me, him, Vice Grip, all the niggas was serious. Spice Dave, you know, all the serious niggas, you know. Right, which most of us was. But I used to have to catch them other niggas. They wasn't called, but I had to catch them. Once I found out where their pre-production was at, I had to pull up and catch them in a session. They would never call me and say. So that slowed that down. Then I left again, never went back. Because mainly it wasn't so much the industry niggas, it was the street niggas. Though that was my strongest hold as far as just me, not my daddy and all these other people. From my effort was Atlanta, Decatur. And when them key niggas turned on me, that was it. I ain't fuck that shit. And then some special nigga did something special that made me ultimately say no. See, cause I ain't finna be telling all these people about hell. No, I don't know how this shit finna go. And I ain't finna have all these people with my name in a conflict with these particular people. Cause the way I operate, if I was to jump my ass, have to add back up there. And these particular people start getting knocked off, they automatically stop. Automatically, somebody quite likely gonna fuck around and say something. And that's gonna spread and spread till somebody have enough nerve to go to the authorities about it with my name attached to, yeah, nigga said he was going through it with such and such and such, woo. And they all know, if a nigga tried me like these niggas did try me, but it's quite likely it's gonna be some shit. It don't take much for me to snap. They know that. And that would beyond much. So I know it's just a bad situation up there. But the main reason, other than niggas running their mouth and, you know, the crackers on put, cause see the thing about it, the crackers find out before the niggas find out. Cause the way it happened. When it popped off, we didn't say much to nobody. I didn't. The niggas who were with me didn't. But the police found out quick. Fed were looking for them niggas already. That's probably why them niggas started that shit, cause they knew they shit was over with. Trying to take somebody down. Wasn't beef, got beef. They know they going down. Them niggas was on the news and all. Already. We know the news story, but we don't know who the fuck they talking about. We don't know them niggas. OB, yo, there was some young nigga trying to make a name for themselves. OB, off-brand ass nigga. Don't know how to act. Don't really know how good they got it. They should be doing a certain way. They want to do it like that. That shit played out where it started. It was played out over there. Now anyway, the feds already on us because of Scooby for one. Ain't no telling what federal, little group of agents and whatnot, GBI and all that kind of stuff was investigating up before Scooby got knocked. You never know what be in the works until they tell you. But first we know for sure because of Scooby about bomb. So now we doing the music. We on the radio. We got video. I'm talking about the radio. You know, underground shit. V103, Kiss FM, that type of shit. And we on the video, probably not MTV, but the other one. I forgot the name of that shit up there. Right. Nah. Them crackers looking at us heavy. They looking at us heavy. They get every time Jay Prince, Luke Skywalker, Eric Wright, every time you come out there, one thing helped us a lot. He was smart enough to put a song out there about really kind of like anti-violence. He was on some player shit. Underground, we were doing a lot of gangster, hardcore shit. But the one he put out and promoted the most, that was some player shit. Talking about Atlanta, the beautiful city, Olympics and all that kind of stuff. And telling people not to go to gunplay. Not to stay away from them guns. So that helped a lot. And this incident went off. And how it all played out, I said, you know what? It's good that it happened against a nigga like me. Cause all I gotta do is pull myself from the location out of those two cities. And nobody in those cities that had to suffer for whatever me and them fuck ass niggas are going through. No stray bullets. Cause they ain't gonna pop off till they see me. Unless they wanna start some shit with somebody else. Nah, I can't help that. And I got too much love up there to be up there. Like, you know, I had one of my closest partners. He paralyzed from the way down because of a straight bullet in the club, at a club parking lot. Paralyzed from the way down. I said, I don't want to lend to those type of situations because they gonna take me in. They gonna take me in. I said, but if I'm not there, and on top of that, I was stronger in Miami than I was up there because a lot of niggas ain't really cut out like we are, the ones that's cut like that from that cloth. A lot of niggas lame as fuck. A lot of niggas fake like they something, but they lame as fuck. They don't really want down. They shout. They ain't ready shout like that. And all the niggas who really is on point, we know what's what. So, and to give all them a break. All the ones who is gonna ride, all the ones who is gonna stand up. Well, you know what? On my behalf, you can say that for your child, your blood brother, your daddy, your cousin, and all that, all your other loved ones. You know what I'm saying? I'm just another nigga in the street, probably distant cuz, something like that. But you know, cause that is a creep nation get together. You know what I'm saying? All day long, woo woo. You know what I'm talking about? Man, fellas up, man. But all the while, you know what I'm saying? I say, I'm stronger in Miami. Plus, I get 5 for the 18. 5 for the sign off.